sales skills stink. I couldn't convince anybody to take the podium.
Oh, you know it.
Alrighty. So John and Ginny, I wonder, now that Jennifer's not coming.
No, her
Yeah.
father's getting surgery. I think her mother was in the hospital too. And her sister's going to be with her mother,
Okay.
and Jennifer's with her dad.
I don't want to make things confusing. I would have probably had Ginny sit next to Charlie just to make it like centralized, but this is fine. And purposely, I had a low, not a lot on the agenda because we knew that Patty wasn't going to be here. So just so we all know, I think this is all low-hanging fruit stuff, but
So we can
everything
sit
got
through it.
past 3-0.
Let's sit through it.
You bet, my friend.
All right.
I promised Denise she'd be home to her family by 8:15. She's got a long ride.
Where do you live? A long way away from here?
Longer than your
Far,
ride.
far away, a distant land.
Wow.
All right, whenever
Over an
Mark
hour?
says we can rock.
Are we gonna put a little wager on this or no?
No, I'm not messing with you tonight.
All right.
All right? I just hope everything passes 3-0. Will you let me know, Mark? Okay. Well, that's not bad, 7:33. Well, welcome everybody to the Thursday, September 19th Webster Town Board meeting. The Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Deneen, can you do roll, please?
Supervisor Flaherty,
Here.
Councilman Cahill,
Here.
Councilwoman Nguyen. Here. Town Attorney Genesi.
Present.
Okay, our first agenda item tonight is the open to the floor section, where each speaker will be allowed up to 5 minutes to speak on anything they wanted. We went around the room before the beginning of the meeting, and we had no takers. Has anybody changed their mind? Okay. Then the next item up is the minutes to be considered for approval from the September 5th Town Board meeting. I've reviewed them, and I make a motion that we accept them.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye?
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Nguyen. Aye.
I know somebody pinch hit for somebody this week.
Yes, I
Is
am.
that you, Jenny?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, I have reviewed the bills with the financial director, and I believe they are in order. So I make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Councilman Nguyen,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye. And then I reviewed the prepaid warrants as submitted by Paul Adams, the Director of Finance. Make a motion that we approve those.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilman Nguyen,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
And then I also reviewed the purchase orders as submitted by Paul Adams, the Director of Finance, and make a motion that we approve those.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilman Nguyen.
Aye.
We're zipping, aren't we, Denise?
Yeah, you welcome.
Okay.
All right, let's not get off track.
Well, you are the liaison to this department. You want to do it, Jen?
No.
Okay. Well, I am going to make a motion to set the public hearing for the Town of Webster's 2025 preliminary budget for October 17th, 2024. And to have that advertised in the Webster Herald's, would that be Wednesday the 9th edition, or is it Wednesday the 2nd of October's edition? No less than 10, no more than 20, or no more than 10? Public hearing on the budget.
I believe it's, well, I believe it's 10 to 20.
Then we're going to do it in the October 2nd Webster Herald. And you know what? Just to be safe, and the October 9th Webster Hill.
Good idea.
If you want to
How about
hold,
that?
if you want to hold on 1 second, I can double check here, on this particular one.
Shame on me for not having noticed that this resolution didn't have the advertising date.
How about we just publish it according to law, as required by law? Is that fine, or do you want to still publish it in both?
I don't mind publishing it in both.
Okay. Go with
All right,
it
that's
then.
I'm fine with that, so I'll
Public
second
hearing.
that motion.
Okay,
That's why I didn't do the original one.
you're smart. I stumbled on that, huh?
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilman Wynn.
Aye.
And just for the record, and, you know, this is not a shot against the Webster Herald. They have their subscribers, very loyal subscribers, and people will see this. The Webster Today, which goes out to every house in the town of Webster, the October edition will hit people's houses, their mailboxes, I think, between October 2nd and 5th. And it's the budget edition, so it really highlights all over it that the public hearing is the 17th, and inviting people to comment, call in, email us about questions they have, but also come to the public hearing. So, little sidebar. Now, the gentleman in the back, I told you we wouldn't make you wait long. I just want to make sure I got the wording right.
Tom.
Yeah,
We got to vote on that, don't we?
I think we did just vote on the preliminary budget.
Okay,
didn't we?
all right, good.
Yeah.
All right. Just double check.
But the next item up, the license agreement for the replacement of a utility shed in a drainage easement, I just wanna see, cause I saw, is it Mike? Yes, sir. Yep. Mike, if you wanna jump up to the podium for a second, because I think this is gonna be a walk in the park for you, cause I saw the letter before from the highway that was
Yeah.
fine with it. There it is. Yeah. Pat Stevens, our superintendent of highways, wrote a letter to the board saying he's fine with it. He came out and saw it. So, do any of the board members have any questions about that?
No, I just have a comment that I really appreciate the fact that Pat goes out and meets with our residents and makes these recommendations because it's obviously right in his wheelhouse,
Yeah.
so.
So you're gonna get handed off, Mike, from Pat, and you're about to enter the Charlie Genesi world in a second. We'll get to that once we vote on this. So, Jenny, any comments or questions on this? Well, I make a motion to approve a license agreement for the placement of a utility shed in a drainage easement located at 860 Buttermilk Circle, tax account number 094.06-1-10.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye?
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilman Wynn.
Aye.
All right, Charlie. So for those at home, Charlie is now talking to Mike about the process of them getting together and doing the proper filings within the county and all that stuff so he can do it. Being, building the shed in one of our drainage easements.
Yes, sir. Okay? Thank you, sir.
So I won't describe it as much because I'm sure that you're here for the license agreement of the fence in a sanitary sewer easement. Oh my goodness, then there's 3 of these tonight. Wow. Okay, so the next one is, I want to make sure this is,
I think it's
Ethan?
Yep.
Okay. Ethan, and you, if you want to take the podium, so this is a resolution to approve a license agreement for the placement of a fence in a sanitary sewer easement. I take it located, Ethan, at your property at 1436 State. Deja vu. Any questions? Because I know that Art, I think, wrote the letter on this one, right? Our sewer department. Oh, I saw it. Yeah, Art.
Yeah, it also contains a short environmental assessment form, which has been completed.
Yeah, it's been combined.
Seems to be in order.
Yeah,
I have no questions.
okay. well, then I'm gonna make a motion to approve a license agreement for the placement of a fence in a sanitary sewer easement located at 1436 State Road, tax account number 080.04-1-35.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye?
Councilman Wynn,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
That's it? Ethan,
Same thing.
Charlie?
Same thing.
Charlie, you got some new best friends here, right? And while he's doing this, because we now are gonna finish the trifecta tonight, I don't know, I can't remember us ever having three of these on one board meeting agenda.
No,
But in layman terms, I don't know, these drainage easements and these sewer easements, there's pipes underneath, and unfortunately, even though it's the homeowner's yard and they own the land, we can't just allow them to put a shed on top of some things that we might have to get in there and do some maintenance on. So it's very important that, we just kind of make sure that they've applied for it. Our sewer department, or our highway department, our drainage people have looked at it and said, it should be okay, that it'll be out of the way if they have to dig or this and that. I guess that's the best way I can explain it. So with that being said, our next one is at 449 McEwen Drive, and this one, that was
Heather,
Ethan.
yeah, I don't have a resolution on this one. I
Wait a
didn't even
minute.
know about it until right now.
Make sure. Katie, right? And Katie, she brought a bodyguard, so we better not mess on this one.
This is Gina.
What's that?
This is Gina.
Well, can everybody see Gina's face and head above the podium there? So this is about a fence in a sanitary sewer easement located at, this is about a fence in a town drainage easement at, I take it, your home, 449 McEwen.
Yes, correct.
And I saw in here, once again, that Pat Stevens, I saw it.
Yep.
it's here.
It is in there. So,
Secret
I
form
think
is.
you probably heard from what I said to the previous gentleman. You now get handed from Pat to Charlie to paper it all up and get it all set. So, any questions, Jenny or John?
Nope.
Okay. Then I make a motion to approve a license agreement to locate a fence in a town drainage easement at 449 McEwen Drive, tax ID 093.06-1-22.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye?
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilman Wynn.
Aye.
Now, is the fence like a fence that can be painted, and maybe as this one gets older, they'll,
I'll have to paint it.
So
I think
it's
we'll be ready.
a
We'll
vinyl
definitely have
fence,
to
I
paint
think.
oh, well, then I guess, no more Tom Finn, Huck Finn, Tom Sawyer stuff. I've aged myself there. All right.
it. Okay, so, but you'll contact that email. Okay. Oh, it'll be perfect. Thank you so
All
much.
right, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
See you, bud. All right, geez, I should have bet, John, I think I would have won tonight.
Scary cat.
The next one, we only have two left, believe it or not. A bit of a milestone event. I think it was in June that we had Chris Spilo, our Parks and Rec Commissioner, came in. And we had I'll call it the unveiling, along with Fantuzzo Family Brands. Kayla, their CFO, did a presentation. The proposed design of a 2,400 square foot building that would be a restaurant, bar, pub type of thing. The town, I'll call it, Charlie would be the landlord, and Fantuzzo Family Brands would be the private operator. Now, we said back in June, as the process moves along, this is kind of one of those milestone things that we now need to go out, and as Councilman Cahill said earlier, this is Wick's law. So we need to go and advertise the bid packages. I think there's 4 of them. I want to say it's general contracting, HVAC, plumbing, and electrical. And they'll be advertised in the Webster Herald, but as, John, you know this better than me because you're in the business, development, construction, whatever. It'll also be sent to like where the developers all look for projects to bid on municipally. And basically, it's a sealed bid. And you might get 4 bids, you might get 8 bids, you never know, Janine. And then,
So
I think
are the drawings done for this? To send this out to bid, or we're
oh,
sending it
yeah,
out?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So,
Are they 100% done or
Somewhat,
80% done?
well, when you say the drawings, Campus and Passero have put together, this is the different line items they think that estimated cost on those 4 that I just described, general contracting. which,
Okay.
You know,
Thanks.
and I don't want to get too granular, but a lot of concrete, helical pilings that the
Right.
DEC is making us put in, the building shell, the type of roof that you have to have, and it's really got to be supported because it's got a roof top. It's a 2,400 square foot building, but let's not kid ourselves. The design that is put out there has about 1,000 square feet up top where people can sit. So, John, as you know,
Right.
the design and what that entails compared to a pitched roof, it's not going to have anything on it except for maybe snow and rain. A little different. So now we got to go and bid it to see, well, what is it come in at? Because we need to know what the low bids are, because that's going to dictate just how much this project's going to cost. And at the end of the day, it's a public-private partnership, and foundational to that is that if we have to go and get a bond to pay $1 million or $2 million to build this building based on the low bids and whatever, that whatever that bond costs, we have to get that money back for the taxpayers from the private restaurateur. Is that a good way to describe it, Charlie?
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear you say that.
The restaurateur, well, I think I've been pretty consistent on that in articles I've written and in any communication I've had with any of restaurateurs and bar owners going back to the expression of interest back in early 2022, when 8 to 10 restaurateurs looked at doing this, and the only one that came in with a formal reply in April of 22 was the guys who owned the
Right.
Bayside Pub. And Chris Bilo and I, our Parks and Rec Commissioner, met with the owners of the Bayside Pub 5 or 6 times between April of 22 and October of 22. And that was really big part of our conversation. You can be involved in designing the kind of building you want to operate in, restaurateur of our owner, but be careful what you choose. You gild it with gold, and you make us go out and pay for it, Wick's Law, low bid. Know that if it costs $1 million, here's the bond, this is the interest rates, whatever, that's what you got to pay. Monthly rent, annual, whatever.
Right.
And what ended up happening in that situation in October of 22, the owners of the Bayside, we came to an impasse, I'll call it, that the estimated cost of what the building they wanted, which was a 2,400 square foot with a pitched roof, not a roof on top, and their features that they wanted was going to cost the shell and whatever $1 million, let's say. They were going to put in, I think it was 600,000 of leasehold improvements to go in and build the inside.
Right, build out.
And I want to say the bond at that time was going to be costing like $7,000 to $8,000 a month.
Right.
All right. And they said, you know what? We can't make a profit at that. We can only pay $3,000 a month rent. And it was like, yeah, but it's going to cost us $7,000 or $8,000
Right.
a month in principal and interest on the bond. Well, we thought that you can only afford $3,000 a month. I take you at your face value that that's all you can pay and make this a viable business. You're in a for-profit business. I respect that. But I hope you respect that our job is to make sure that the taxpayers' dollars on this, a municipal-built building, public-private partnership. The public part is we built the building. We need the private entity to be paying us in some semblance of rent, licensing, percentage of their proceeds, however you want to do it. Something that gets us where we can say to the taxpayers, we're getting your money back on this. We are not enriching a private company with taxpayer money. We've been very consistent about that. That's why that deal fell apart in October of 2022. I respected the fact that they couldn't, they say, pay more than that, and they needed to respect the fact that unless you want to truncate down this 2,400 square foot building to 1,600 square foot, which is how big the old Bayside was, and you want to redesign this so we can get the price down for the taxpayers to an amount that you as a bar owner, restaurateur will be okay with paying monthly, if we're not going to go down that path, then this deal's dead. And it was. And that was 2 years ago. And we reached back out to the 7 or 8 restaurateurs and that had shown interest earlier that year, and we said, hey, we've gone down the path with this group. There's an impasse. Are any of you still interested? And in January, February of 23, a couple of those restaurateurs said, yes, we are. We spent 6-7 months with them, and by July or August of 23, one of them said, you know what, due diligence, I'm bowing out. And the one that said, I'm still interested is Fantuzzo Family Brands. And when they said they were still interested in July, August of 23, that's when the rubber hit the road that they started spending money on design. They started spending money, their own money, on an architect designing a building that they wanted in their vision. And when they said it was 2,400 square foot, and they worked a little bit with Campus Construction Management in Passero, we said, well, here's the thing. If you really are serious about this, which you seem to be serious, because you're spending this money with your architect, then we really need to go to the DEC and apply for a pad permit or a square footage of impervious area of 2,400 square foot. And we did that in November of 23. Now, unfortunately, it took about 5 to 6 months for the DEC to come back and approve that. So now we were into March, April of 2024. So once they came back and said 2,400 square feet was okay, we got back in with Fantuzzo Family Brands, sharpened pencils, this and that. And by June of 24, we said, we think we are at a point in this process where it's time to unveil and introduce Fantuzzo Family Brands as the restaurateur who we think we're going to go down the aisle with toward this public-private partnership. Now, since June, since we had that workshop, the last couple of months, as we've sharpened pencils and gotten estimates and bid packages put together, that culminates where we are tonight. Now, if we do this resolution, and we now will go out and advertise those bids, when the bids come back, somewhere around October 25th, I think we estimated, Deneen, is when we will sit in this room. It's a public event, and open those sealed bids. And Deneen, it'll be your first one, right?
That's correct.
And then we'll get an idea of what is the cost of the plumbing? What is the cost of the HVAC? What is the cost of the general contracting? And what was the other one?
Framing, don't forget the framing.
It's in general
That's
contracting.
very, very important.
It's in the general contract.
All right.
Yeah. And then, and I would like to think, because Fantuzzo Family Brands has been here along the whole way, I really am cautiously optimistic we won't have what happened in October of 2022 with the old owners of the Bayside, which is, well, here's what it's going to cost to build that building, now that we got the low bids. And if they come back and say, well, I'm only willing to pay this, and we have a delta there, well, what are we going to do, Charlie? Right? This isn't baseball at that point. It's not 3 strikes and you're out. We went down the path with one reputable restaurateur. The numbers didn't jive. If we go down that path with this restaurateur, and knock on wood, I don't think this is going to happen, but if that does end up happening, we're not, I mean, do we need to go back to the third? You know?
No, we
would
don't,
need
but
to,
before you make your motion, I just want to recognize that I believe I read a letter to the editor recently where someone was not really criticizing, but hadn't heard any updates on the restaurant in a while. So I appreciate the fact that you just gave the history lesson, and now hopefully people will be caught up to date. So you're very good at that, by the way.
Well, it's a sickness. I can remember a lot of stuff from back, but I can't remember what I had for breakfast. But they say it's aging. There was, yes, and I want to just comment on that, John. There is so many avenues for people interested in Sandbar Park and this restaurant to go to, and they know where to go to them. Our social media pages,
Right.
what we do on communications, then the website. I can say that if we have updated this process all the way along, and it's very easy for somebody to come and say, in a letter to the editor, or come up on the podium and say, you haven't updated anybody on this. People can write that, they can say that. The reality is, I know for a fact that we have been updating people on this. And if you go back to the tape in June of that, we said we'll be back in about 3 months.
Right.
I don't know, Deneen, June to September is, I think, 3 months. So now I'm giving a little bit more detail of when, well, we're gonna be back in a month.
Yeah, 10 minutes of detail.
Yeah.
That was good.
Well, now you got an update that not only of where we've been historically on this,
Oh, yeah.
but that we will be opening bids, assuming that we get bids, somewhere in mid-October. And my guess is that based on our board schedules, that somewhere around November 7th's board meeting or November 21st board meeting, we will be back in here for either a workshop and/or resolutions pertaining to what we got as the bids.
Okay.
So, maybe I wouldn't have won the bet, John.
No, you definitely did
Any
not.
other questions or comments on this one?
I think we've exhausted all
Yeah.
the comments.
Well, I make a motion to solicit bids for the Town of Webster Sandbar Park Restaurant Construction Project and to advertise in the Webster Herald September 25th, 2024 edition.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye?
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Nguyen.
Aye.
And I will pinch hit for Deputy Supervisor Patty Cataldi, who is the liaison of the Sewer Department. I make a motion to approve the following items for auction and recycle from the Sewer Department. What do I say?
Just say the list as presented.
The list
Yeah.
as presented.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Nguyen.
Aye.
I don't know, the round table would be almost like a semicircle round table, but we'll do it. Jenny?
Okay, well, thanks for everyone to being here today, and please come out and support your Webster Library and the Webster Museum. They exist because of you. There's a lot of events and activities going on, so check the website. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.
Thanks, Jenny. John?
I'm all set. Thank you.
Me too.
All right.
I'm all
Denise?
set. All set.
This meeting is adjourned.